Hello, good morning. Welcome to Joy News. That's quick. Coming to you live from our studios in Kokomlemni. We're on DTT because we're free to air on DSTV channel 421 and Go TV channel 125. We are your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. Coming up this morning, teachers give government 2 weeks ultimatum to conclude negotiations on its conditions of service, vowing more nationwide protests in the coming days.
Out of the 17 allowances that by magnanimity, we are saying government, we understand the situation government finds itself, but it can also not go without reciprocation for the government on the demand we are making on them.
Interior Minister Henry Korte pledges the NPP will hand over power peacefully if Ghanaians vote them out in the 2024 elections.
Perish the thoughts. And I say again, perish the thoughts. If they decide to give the mandate to somebody, we will hand over peacefully, walk away, go to the drawing board and come back in.
We have details as he says the security agencies will clamp down on any group of persons who engage in violence this election.
Anybody who goes to do something other than what is prescribed, we will do our best to ensure that the law will take its course and the court of competent jurisdiction will do their work.
And in our latest mini documentary titled Hidden Battles, we shed light on the silent struggles faced by many new mothers in Ghana.
Amount of pain that I was in, I think it sent me over the edge. I started to sink into depression, and I didn't even notice that was what was happening. All I knew was that I wasn't happy, and I also knew I wasn't bonding with my baby properly.
My name is Aisha Ibrahim. We're also live on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and X Spaces at Joy News on TV. My personal handle is at Danana Aisha. Please do stay for details. Three teacher unions, NAT, NAGRAT, and the Coalition of Concerned Teachers to stage more nationwide protests to pressure government to quickly conclude negotiations on their conditions of service. They are demanding various allowances, such as a deprived area allowance, extra basement allowance, book data online teaching support allowance, and an increase in the CPD allowance. Protests began in the eastern and central regions, where regional executives submitted a petition to the regional minister, giving the government a 2-week ultimatum to meet their demands. Eastern Regional Chairman of NAT, Patrick Boakye, says government cannot play deaf to their demands anymore.
Out of the 17 allowances that by magnanimity, we are saying government, we understand the situation government finds itself, but it can also not go without reciprocation for the government on the demand we are making on them. 4 allowances, deprived area allowance. Most of our teachers are in the rural communities. If you take the employing community of government, teachers are the most employable people on government payroll. And we are found in the most deplorable areas. Every nook and cranny of the country, we have teachers there. Exactly. And it is difficult assessing those places. If our members have taken the challenge to be there, they must be compensated with all the challenges they are going through. That's why we are asking for deprived allowance for them. Apart from that, we are saying that assessment allowance. There are so many things teachers are doing that are not accounted for. And we have put them together to say that we want this assessment allowance. Apart from that, we are talking about book and data and online allowances. We have been giving laptops, but not all of us have received it. Even that one, we are also calling on government to supply to the last teacher by the close of this month. These allowances is to help us do our work as teachers in the interest of the nation. So all that we are saying is that government should come to our aid. Only 4. The CPD allowance is already there, but we want an upper adjustment because of the current economic condition that we find ourselves. But the remaining 3 is not there, and we want government to address that. We are saying by 31st of this month, if we don't hear from government a fruitful negotiation from our leadership at the national level, we in the regions will advise ourselves and take the necessary posture that will inure to the benefit of our members collectively.
I've been joined by the head of compensation and benefits at the Ghana National Association of Teachers, NAT. Grateful for your time, Isaac Ban. What is necessitating this renewed threat to the government? Hello, Isaac Ban. Kindly unmute for me.
Thank you. So, good morning to you and your viewers this morning.
Good morning.
Very well. So, you asked what has been the threat
What is necessitating this new threat?
Well, that's true. Good. So, thank you. The point is that our collective agreement expired last year. Our collective agreement has a 3-year lifespan, and it expired last year, January. So there was the need to renew it. In fact, we put in the application for the new renewal. We submitted our draft and all that. But the point is that as we speak, we have not been able to conclude negotiations on it. So I must say it is long overdue, and that is why there's this agitation.
Okay, so I know that you've been in series of meetings with the government. Where are we now? Reason why you're giving this threat again?
So that is true. We've been having series of meetings, like you said, but as we speak, we've not been able to make any headway. In the new agreement, we have tabled 4 allowances. One of them is an existing one. The 3, though one is also an existing one, it had never been implemented. So there are 2 new allowances we have introduced, and we expect government to accept them, and then negotiation will kickstart on that. But as we speak, government has only accepted the 2 existing ones, and the new ones, government is reluctant to accept them. And that is why there's the need for the agitation from the teachers.
What has been explanation from government for not giving you what you really want?
The usual no money syndrome. And then recently we were also told that because of IMF conditionality.
All right. So I understand you are currently in a meeting. With who, actually?
No, not about this particular topic. This is a different meeting we are attending.
Okay. So what's your next plan if government does not heed to this 2-week ultimatum?
So we've been invited tomorrow, 8 a.m. in the morning, to continue negotiation. Already, NLC has given us up to 19th of June to conclude all negotiation and report to them. Now, I would say that government should grab that opportunity and make sure we are able to finish negotiation before. Because, like you said, the pressure is mounting. And then, as leaders, I must say, we'll get to a state that we cannot stop our teachers from doing what they want to do. So government must be proactive. That is what I'll say for now.
I'm grateful for your time. Isaac Ban is head of benefits and compensations at the Ghana National Association of Teachers. I've also been joined by former Employment Minister and Labour Consultant Austin Game on this. Mr. Game, this latest row between the 3 teacher unions and government has been on for a while. It hit us hard when they decided to lay down their tools at some point. What's your observation with what has happened so far?
Thank you, Aisha. I think that, the practice of negotiating conditions of service is not new, but things keep changing from time to time. Unfortunately, to me, it does appear adherence to the procedures that will govern the negotiation when you reach a stalemate, what next, because everything has an end within the collective agreement and best practices. So negotiation in industrial, no matter it has end, definite. And so fixing and pressurizing itself into a kind of threats and strikes, so forth and so on. In the past, maybe even about that, in this 21st century, in today's contemporary world, I don't see the reason why it should be so. So I'm a little worried, and I'm pleased that with all the caliber of people we are supposed to have, this is a stage which we find ourselves now.
Considering the importance of these three teacher unions, NAT, NAGRAT, and CCT, I mean, what should be the way forward? Because this must end at some point.
Yes. The way forward would have been that the parties agree that we are negotiating in the unlikely event that we don't reach agreement. We will submit ourselves on arbitration or negotiation would have been working. But you can also go for arbitration. So if they go and they ask them, it's not that you will always not get your wish. You will always not get your wish. So I'm surprised. I'm surprised that we have a situation like this on our hands here. But it should have been over by now. If I were to be in charge, definitely it would be over.
I'm grateful for your time. Austin Game is former Employment and Labor Relations Minister. He's also a labor consultant on the matter. Let's get on to other stories. The NDC minority in Parliament says the free fall of the cedi is far from over and the worst is yet to come. The dollar has hit 15 cedis, with traders warning they're passing on the cost of business to consumers, which will mean a significant increase in the prices of goods and services. Addressing journalists in Parliament, Minority Leader Dr. Kasiela Toforson decried the impact of the cedi depreciation in businesses at Okanshi, Abosokai, and other business communities.
In spite of the huge inflows of foreign exchange from the IMF and the World Bank into the Ghanaian economy, and I'm talking of billions of Ghana cedis, billions of US dollars, the government's action and its management of the cedi have continued to fuel steep depreciation with no end in sight, unfortunately. So far, the decisions of the economic management team, chaired by our Vice President, Alhaji Bawumia, leaves a lot to be desired. The reality of the Ghanaian economy today exposes the credentials of the so-called economic whiz kid, who was marketed as the savior of Ghana's economy. Alhaji Bawumia's credibility is now in tatters, completely tatters. The steep depreciation of the cedi has resulted in an increase in the prices of goods and services, as several businesses continue to revise prices upwards. This development would further worsen the plight of the already suffering Ghanaians. It is even more worrying and depressing to see constant media reports of escalating prices of goods and services as a result of traders' inability to service their loans and restock due to the rapid fall of the Ghanaian cedi. At this point, traders, especially importers, require more money to buy or import the same quantity of items that they could have previously purchased with less money. One can imagine the impact of this free fall of the cedi on businesses at Abosokai, in fact, at Kokompe, Okanshi, Mokola, Kejetia, and other major business centers across the country, including Edumako. As far as this is concerned, it is also important for us to say that as for those servicing their mortgages in Ghana in dollars, whilst they earn cedis, one can imagine the sleepless night and the anguish that they are going through as a result of the free fall of the Ghana cedi. I call it the dancing cedi. There seems to be no hope in sight, as the managers on the economy have no clue on how to address the free fall of the cedi in spite of the hype over the years.
Meanwhile, the minority is laying a significant blame on the Vice President, Dr. Bawumia, for the fall of the cedi.
We want to use this opportunity to urge the Vice President to quit his offbeat dancing on the campaign trail and focus on the dancing cedi. There's a lot awaiting our country as a result of reckless mismanagement by Alhaji Bawumia's government. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, you recall that when the NDC government was exiting power in December 2016, under the leadership of then President John Mahama, the cedi was trading at 3 cedis 80 pesos to $1 compared to the current 14 cedi 95 pesos as at to the US dollars as at yesterday. And I'm hearing that today the cedi is trading at $1 is trading at 15.05 as at to today. Shockingly, but not surprisingly, the Vice President, who doubles as the chair of the government economic management team, Alhaji Bawumia, has told Africa Watch that the cedi has performed better under his supervision. This is a palpable lie, of course. Statements such as this from Alhaji Bawumia have significantly damaged his reputation, as many people treat them with contempt it deserves, or at best, comic relief. Many businesses and households have questioned the voodoo conclusions of Alhaji Bawumia on the fall of the Ghana cedi on his watch. How is Alhaji Bawumia able to look Ghanaians in the face and claim that the exchange rate of 14 cedis 95 pesos to $1 in 2024 is better than the 2016 year-end 3 cedi 80 pesos to $1?
Well, with the House set to return for an emergency sitting on Friday, there's a $150 million loan the government is expecting to pass to shore up the cedi.
I think we've not hidden our position on this $150 million loan. We debated this on the floor, and we made it point clear that the NDC minority believes that there's a lot we need to uncover before we proceed to whether we should approve this loan or not to approve it. This is because we have evidence and we've been informed that the first $200 million on the same project, phase 1, was misapplied. So we have asked the committee responsible for Western Housing and Finance Committee to do further work on that matter. The matter was debated on the floor. The Speaker referred the matter back to the committee. We are yet to hear from the committee. And until then, our position remains the same. So nothing has changed, and let us wait for them to submit their report. I'm not a member of the Committee on Works and Housing, and they are tasked to visit the site and ascertain some information. Until then, we can't comment on that. But as to whether that will make an impact on the cedi, I don't think so. You see, we've enumerated a number of reasons why the cedi is falling. Already, the World Bank has given us a number of loans and a number of foreign exchange, amounting to billions of cedis, billions of dollars. The World Bank, the IMF, has granted us $600 million in the last 6 months. Where is the money? So you can get so much forex or foreign exchange, but if you misuse it, there will be the cedi will continue to depreciate. So I cannot say that the $150 million will make an impact. Because clearly, if almost $2 billion cannot make an impact, what will $150 million do? It won't do much. It will not do much.
Boakye Green is a mother of 3. In 2017, she welcomed her first child. Little did she know that the arrival of a bundle of joy would also sink her into the depths of what health professionals call postpartum depression. It is a mental condition that affects new mothers and may lead to thoughts of self-harm and in extreme cases cause mothers to harm their own babies. Enjoy News' latest mini documentary titled Hidden Battles. My colleague Emmanuel Jivenu shares light on the silent struggles faced by many new mothers in Ghana.
The cry of a newborn baby brings immense joy. For mothers, it is a dream come true and the beginning of motherhood. Amidst the joy and excitement, there can be unexpected challenges. For some mothers, the days after delivery bring not only physical changes, but also emotional struggles that can be difficult to navigate.
I had been in labor for 48 hours, so I was too tired to push properly, and so they decided to just create an incision. And that experience was very traumatic for me. That amount of pain that I was in, I think it sent me over the edge. That, and then the fact that I couldn't breastfeed immediately. I started to sink into depression, and I didn't even notice that was what was happening. All I knew was that I wasn't happy, and I also knew I wasn't bonding with my baby properly. I was never one of those mothers that once I popped the baby, I smiled into my baby's face and then held him and rocked him. No, I was just happy to be done with that experience. The nurses came for him and I was so relieved. So I never really bonded with him the first few, maybe even weeks.
When she's delivered and the placenta separates and comes out, the level of estrogen and progesterone that trigger the feel-good things would drop. So the feel-good things have dropped. At the same time, she has a new baby, and the stress of taking care of the new baby goes up. So this is what explains it. But different people have different vulnerabilities.
Very dark thoughts, very, very dark thoughts. Like you start to, first of all, you at the beginning you don't like your baby. You don't like your baby. You don't even want to be a mother. It's like, is this thing for me? And also, is this what the thing that is so hyped? This wasn't really living up to my expectations.
Mothers seeking help should see it as a sign of strength and not weakness. Postpartum mental depression is treatable.
So the first thing is identifying that this person has a problem.
I had a little trampoline in the house, and it was just simple things like just jumping on the trampoline. When we are in the living room or something like that, I can just put the trampoline there, wherever the baby is, and just be jumping on it and see. It did me a lot of good because there was something about my heart pumping and things like that I felt rejuvenated, and like I felt like I had the best of energy, and I felt like I was becoming myself again.
Postpartum depression is a common but often overlooked condition affecting many new mothers. Just like any mental illness, stigma surrounding postpartum depression is prevalent in Ghanaian society, making it difficult for mothers to openly discuss their feelings or seek professional help.
I've been joined by clinical psychologist Dr. May Caesar for more on this. Grateful for your time. Dr. Caesar, let's first explore what the lead causes of mental conditions that affect new mothers are, and of course, which may lead to thoughts of self-harm and even in extreme cases causing mothers to harm their own babies.
Good morning. Thanks for inviting me. Yes, I was just listening to the lady and she's right. Sometimes it's your expectations. Your expectations can get in the way of your joy and put you at risk of postpartum depression. Again, the circumstances surrounding the pregnancy. If it was by sexual abuse, even spousal abuse, it can affect you. If you don't have social support, if let's say you got pregnant and perhaps you were asked to leave the family home as a result, you may also develop postpartum depression. And then as I was listening to her, she said she found it difficult to bond with her child. And that it doesn't happen automatically, especially if you have a child. We have this idea that if it's a boy, we have problems saying a baby boy. We always have to say bouncing baby boy. So now you have a baby and it's not a bouncing baby. Again, it comes down to expectation. So these are some of the problems that people face. These are some of the causes of postpartum depression.
Is there a cure or prevention to this?
Yes. If we have someone talk to us and through the pregnancy, I was talking about the expectations. I mean, we should know that not everybody lactates right away. Not everybody is able to get baby to latch on. These are some things we can do during the antenatal visits, and then also if we're able to keep ourselves fit, if we're able to have people we talk to, we have that support system by the time we have our babies, this can also help. If you're physically fit, if our partners are on board with us, yes, it reduces the risk of postpartum depression. And yes, there's treatment. So if it's a severe case, we may have to rely on antidepressants for a while. But then cognitive behavior therapy, which is what we do in practice, psychological practice, is to talk the person through their emotions. We're not invalidating how they're feeling, but we're helping them come up with coping strategies that will help them deal with that anxiety that comes with not having joy. Because every mother expects to have joy. So we talk you through that. So there's the talk therapy or psychotherapy, and then we may use medications in severe cases. And then in extreme cases, we may have to use some hormone replacements because right after childbirth, your hormones, estrogen and progesterone, they drop. So then we may need to do something about that.
At what point do you determine that what you're feeling right now is gone beyond the normal and now it's postpartum depression?
Okay. So when you're talking to other mothers, they tell you, oh, okay, I mean, I was fine by 4 weeks. We usually give ourselves 6 weeks. That's why we have this 6 weeks post-check. So we usually give ourselves 6 weeks. But then let's say 3 months down the line, you still find that you're unable to bond with your child, that that child is not the bundle of joy you were expecting, or you're so unmotivated, then you should seek help. So if you're talking to other women and you find that, oh, they're doing okay with their kids, there's no pain, assuming that it was through a cesarean section, because there's pain, we need to heal and all that. So that can extend the time for the healing, total healing. But if it has extended beyond what your friends, colleagues are saying, other female friends are saying, then perhaps you should, when you go for your 6-week check or 8-week check or whatever, talk to the doctor or antenatal nurse about it.
With the extreme cases where sometimes these mothers even go to the extent of hurting their own babies, how do you deal with some of these situations? And I'm sure you've come across some of these situations in your hospital.
Yes, we have. Again, the social support is very necessary. So the family member should have noticed by now that something is wrong. That's why the support system is important. But if not, and that new mother doesn't want to attend to that child when the child is crying, and neighbors even hear about it, they need to first make sure the child is safe. They have to now make sure that the mother herself is not going to try and harm herself. So it is important that they get help. It's important that they get a family member or even a social worker, if they can get access to a social worker, to come in and assess this mother. And in the case where she would require some hospitalization and some treatment, it is at that point that that decision would be made.
If I've
had that we had to call in someone to come in and help take the baby, and then the mother went in for some treatments.
If I have such a case in my family, for instance, what should I look out for? What should I look out for so that we can be sure that first we ensure the baby is safe and then we look for help for the mother?
Yes. So, like we said, every mother is expected to be happy at the birth. I mean, carrying a child for 9 months is not easy. So when that baby comes out, you're expecting that there's going to be some relief, some joy. If you're not seeing it, let's put it down to, let's say, pain or the change in circumstances. And if after the support, you are there to help the mother with the child, that she says, oh, you keep the child, bring the child to me only when it's time to breastfeed. These are warning signs. These are red flags. Then we have to do something about it.
Dr. May Wolf Caesar, I'm grateful for your time. She's a clinical psychologist, and she's been shedding more light on how to deal with postpartum depression. Interior Minister Henry Korte has pledged that the governing New Patriotic Party will hand over power peacefully if they are voted out of power in the 2024 elections. The opposition NDC has expressed concerns the NPP may not transition power if it is defeated, following utterances by some government officials, including Agric Minister Dr. Brian Champon. But Interior Minister Henry Korte says the president has instructed him to ensure a peaceful election and the decision voters take will be respected.
Mr. President has given me a marching order, and the marching order is to ensure that this year's elections, before, during and after, goes on peacefully, and that's by the grace of God I shall do. Mr. President is an astute lawyer, is a political luminary. This is somebody who has been fighting for democracy to thrive in this country and the world at large. And I make reference to the statement that he made when the decision of the Supreme Court was pronounced. He said, though he disagrees with the verdict, but he respects the decision of a court of a competent jurisdiction. So he moves on, and by the grace of God, he has come to win. What will profit us as a political party if we encourage violence? Who are we going to serve in this country? Are we going to serve the people that are dead and buried? No. We are to serve the people, and the people will decide who they want to serve them. As a politician, as a political party, it is our hope, it is our wish, it is our belief that by the grace of God, the good people of this country, the good work that we have done in infrastructure, in other interventions, they will give us another mandate. Perish the thoughts. And I say again, perish the thoughts. If they decide to give the mandate to somebody, we will hand over peacefully, walk away, go to the drawing board and come back, inshallah. But I know that the grace of God abounds, and so we shall break the eight.
Henry Korte has also sent out a strong warning to any person planning to engage in violence this election season, revealing the security agencies are ready to clamp down on any such activity.
Let me sound the warning again. You know my track record. I walk my talk. In a few months' time, I'll be holding series of engagements with the media, with traditional authorities, with the political parties, with the CSOs. And we will remind them of our duties and the laws governing this country, where people issue statements that tend to incite the public, where people deliberately cause commotion, confusion in certain areas. It will not happen by the grace of God. And read my lips, it shall not happen. Anybody who goes to do something other than what is prescribed, we will do our best to ensure that the law will take its course and the court of competent jurisdiction will do their work. May I sound this warning that it will not be a political vindictiveness. If anybody commits, whoever the person is, we shall ensure that the law will take its course.
NDC flag bearer John Mahama says appointees in his next government involved in mining will be made to resign. Speaking at the 3rd Annual Transformational Dialogue on Small-Scale Mining at the University of Energy and Natural Resources, the former president says illegal mining cannot be allowed to go on with its devastating consequences on the environment. He says as the leader of the NDC and incoming president of the Republic, he is deeply committed to working with all stakeholders to chart a new vision for the mining industry.
The proposed small-scale mining cooperatives we're talking about will differ in all forms from the existing community mining scheme, which has undeniably become a conduit for enriching party chairmen, DCs, and other politically connected individuals. Indeed, in my government, if you're a minister or a DC or an official and you undertake mining activity, I will ask you to resign and go and you either choose to be a public official or choose to be a business person running a mine. At the same time, we cannot overlook the years of galamsey activities that have left our country with legacy scars. We propose some initiatives to restore degraded lands, rehabilitate impacted forests, and clean our polluted water bodies. These initiatives will restore the environment and create thousands of jobs in the affected mining communities. We will establish a reclamation fund into which all legal mining operators will contribute.
John Mahama also says he will investigate the Gold for Oil program by the current administration because of reports of the financial burden it is heaping on the country.
We know that one of the impacts of illegal mining has been the destruction of our forests and our cocoa farms. We'll prevent the destruction of cocoa farms from mining activity and effectively ban the issuance of entry permits into forests for mining purposes. We'll investigate the opaque Gold for Oil program and expose the actors benefiting from this so-called barter agreement. Reports reaching me suggest that a new debt burden is being created because Ghana has not been able to keep up with its delivery of gold under the program. A portion of revenue from gold proceeds will be used to improve infrastructure and social services in mining communities. Recognizing the invaluable role of traditional leaders in our society and as a testament to our commitment to inclusivity and respect for all stakeholders, my government intends to have traditional leaders included in the crucial process of granting mining licenses in their community. We will strengthen regulatory institutions such as the Minerals Commission, the EPA, the Geological Survey Authority, and the Natural Resource Universities to further this. This will involve laws, policies, regulatory enforcement, and education. Miners will be made aware of the regulations and the reason for the regulations. They must be partners in this transformative process and not enemies.
The Electoral Commission has dismissed accusations by President of Imani Africa, Franklin Cudjoe, that it intentionally disenfranchised the people of Santrofi, Akpafulolobi, and Likpe in the 2020 parliamentary elections. It will be recalled that on December 6, 2020, just a day to the general election, the EC directed that residents in the South areas only vote in the presidential election. The constituents have since been without representation in Parliament. And Evans Mensah has been speaking to the Deputy EC Chair in charge of corporate services, Dr. Eric Bosman-Asare.
I think, Mr. Mensah, one thing our listeners and our viewers must know is that in 2020, the Guan District was created in 2020. And before the referendum that created the regions, the Santrokofi, Akpafulolobi, Likpe, those areas were part of the voter region. Yeah. And they were carved out of the voter region, so they joined the Uti region. A new district was created in that particular area called the Guan District. So when the district was created, the Electoral Commission was notified of the creation on 10th November. By law, when you want to create a constituency, you are supposed to lay a CI in Parliament. And when we prepare CI, we send it to the Attorney General. So when we heard that the district had been created, we put the CI, we had already prepared the CI, so we sent it to the AG advised. Just when we were about to go to Parliament, the information came that Parliament had gone on recess for the elections.
But that's something you should have known.
No, we shouldn't have known. That's the Parliament's work.
But Parliament going on recess is public knowledge.
No, they go on, that's their business. So the EC did everything to be able to create that particular constituency. And when people hear the EC was the one that disenfranchised, then they don't understand the processes. Because Parliament created the district. So when Parliament created the district, for the CI to even be laid and matured in Parliament, it requires 21 sitting days. And 21 sitting days, we know Parliament usually does not work on Saturdays, on Sundays, and on Mondays. So when you look at the time we were notified in writing by the Ministry of Local Government on 10th November, and to even lay a CI, before the CI will be laid, you have to send it to the Subsidiary Legislation Committee of Parliament. Once you send the CI to the Subsidiary Legislation Committee of Parliament, they will invite the Electoral Commission to discuss the document. That alone can take about a week to 2 weeks. So practically, the time the Guan District was created, it wasn't possible for the EC to create a constituency at that time. So anyone who makes the claim that the EC was the one that disenfranchised the Guan people doesn't understand how the system works.
You said you were notified by the Minister for Local Government
on 10th November
in writing. But why do you wait for the political head to notify you when this is a constitutional action that has happened?
It wasn't possible for the East to create a constituency for them when they had not gotten the district. This is how our processes work. And we've also heard some people saying that, oh, why didn't you allow them to vote in the Jasekai?
I mean, but the creation of the district is a constitutional, it's pursuant to a constitutional provision.
Yes.
And once it's done, the Constitution lays out a clear process
and looking
for
at the time,
activation of the EC's own
so look, which we did. Looking at the time, it wasn't possible. That's why I made the point.
But the reliance on the local government minister's letter to trigger your constitutional mandate is what has also raised a bit of questions.
No, it shouldn't, because that's the procedure. Because you know, the Guan areas were part of the Hohoi municipality. So as soon as that region was